Hi, I'm Astrologer Penny Dix, and welcome to the second in a series of videos I'm doing, which are all about the outer planets that you might hear me fondly refer to as my big boys. And the subject for today's planet is the innovative, rebellious, and freedom-loving electric Uranus. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk a little bit about who Uranus is, what his energy represents, and what was happening last time Uranus was in Taurus, because Uranus takes 85 years to go round the zodiac sign. And also, I'm going to talk about how Uranus can affect us during 2024. And of course, I'm going to go through each of your individual zodiac signs so that you can think back over the last few years as to whether Uranus has made many changes in the area of your life that is being affected by Uranus, so that you get a sense, a kind of flavor for how Uranus can affect you in the next few years, because Uranus is in the sign of Taurus from 2018 through to 2026. So we've still got 2 and a bit more years of Uranus in Taurus. And in my experience, when a planet is nearing the end of its passage through a particular zodiac sign, it's as if the planet itself becomes reflective and looks back and thinks about where and what and how we have progressed, how we have processed the lessons, the tests, the ideas, the tasks that the planet has laid before us during its time in this particular part of our chart. And as it nears the end of its sign, of the sign it's in, then it will leave us with a kind of parting gift. And it was an astrologer friend I had back in the 80s who gave me a lot of information and interesting learning that she gained from her teacher, who was a very traditional astrologer. And she would always talk about the gift of these outer planets. So what is the gift that Uranus will be giving to you as it moves into the last couple of years of the sign of Taurus? So Uranus wasn't discovered till 1781. And Uranus itself, as a planet, is quite interesting because it has a unique kind of tilt, and it gives it a very distinct rotational axis. Also, it has a striking blue-green color due to methane in its atmosphere. I can see it. I should have worn a bluey-green color today. Never mind. On the downside, Uranus is a challenging planet, and it's challenging to observe, which is interesting that the qualities, or rather the difficulties that are assigned to Uranus fall in these certain categories. It's a challenging planet to observe. You know, if we just take that on one kind of level, and it's because of its dimness and its distance. No wonder it rules the sign of Aquarius, because Aquarius as a sign can be experienced by people who are sun or rising in Aquarius. People of this kind of delineation can be experienced as remote, as distant, as somehow difficult to get a sense of, difficult to get hold of their energy and fully understand them. And its extreme tilt, scientifically, causes extreme seasonal variations. So can you see how just from the observations that the astronomers made of this planet, we were able, or the astrology of the time was able to assign certain behaviors and habits to the erratic nature of this planet. So what does Uranus represent? It's associated with innovation, unpredictability, sudden change. It can be linked to unconventional thinking and breakthroughs. It's a desire for freedom and independence. And Uranus is always considered to be a planet that brings about unexpected events and disruptions. It can push us each individually and the community in general, various societies as a whole, that they have no choice but to embrace change and progress. So it's quite interesting, isn't it, that these are some of the astrological energies that are assigned to the planet Uranus. And just to remind you, I am going to be doing your individual zodiac signs, time-stamped by Jerry of Team Penny. And as I said before, remember to always listen to your rising sign as well as your sun sign, because it gives you a wonderful blend of the life area that is going to be mostly affected over the last 8 years and the coming 2 years of this innovative, extraordinary and explosive energy of Uranus in the sign of Taurus. But what of it in Taurus? Because Taurus is nature, trees, grass, growth, the earth. It's fixed. Uranus, of course, rules Aquarius. And Aquarius is an air sign, but also fixed. Too much air, which creates wind, can turn earth into dust so that it blows away. So the power of Uranus in Taurus can sometimes be overwhelming. And as a Taurian, if you have your sun in Taurus or your moon in Taurus, you may have noticed over the last 8 years that there is definitely an overwhelm and a kind of sense of just the disruption and the urgency that Uranus is pushing you towards change, towards letting go of the past, towards letting go of outworn and old routines and habits. Taurus is fixed. Taurus likes routine, and it likes its luxuries and its comforts. It likes to know its money is safe and secure. But Uranus in Taurus can bring all sorts of unpredictability and upsets. Now, when Uranus was last in Taurus, it was between 1935 and 1942. Well, of course, this coincided with the Great Depression that happened in the 30s. And, of course, it coincided with World War II. It was an age of dramatic scarcity, unprecedented power struggles. We saw leaders rise to extraordinary heights of narcissistic and ego-centered power, only to have it stripped away from them for the change to happen. We saw war. And we know that with what is happening currently on our planet and the hotspots of the planet, which I don't need to itemize, but these areas are tinderboxes for the electrical energy of Uranus. One spark, that's all it takes for the whole thing to blow up. And already we are experiencing the scarcity of certain food sources. At the time of recording, we have various countries where the farmers are rebelling against the exorbitant prices that supermarkets charge for the foodstuffs they are providing at much lower costs, and the balance is all wrong. So they're saying, enough, we're not doing it. So be aware that we may still yet, over the next year or so, see serious food shortages in many parts of the world. Taurus is about food and about luxury and about comfort. It's about value and self-worth. All of these qualities are being challenged to the hilt. You know, if you think about what I was saying about the actual physiology or seismicology, if that's a word, of the planet Uranus, its extreme tilt causes extreme seasonal variations. Therefore, we are also prone to experiencing extreme seasonal variations. Haven't we already with the weather? With the extraordinary heat waves and wildfires? With quite an unprecedented number of earthquakes and volcanic activity. This is all courtesy of Uranus in Taurus. It's brought a very volatile time on a planetary level and for the people that live in these areas. If we bring it to the more ecological side of it, look at the way the world has really started paying attention to the green agenda and recognizing this is Uranus that is introducing us to this. This is Uranus saying, wake up. We have to change. We have to change the way we're treating our planet, or it is going to change the planet in a way we might find we can't even live on it. Not a full, rich life that we've already been experiencing. There's a lot to think about with Uranus in Taurus and how it affects all of us. Our whole attitude to money is changing. Have you noticed how cash is becoming a rarity? And is this a good thing or a bad thing? I'm making no comment. All I know is where I live in Gozo, it gets harder and harder to actually get cash out of cash machines because everyone wants cash. Everyone wants to be paid in cash. And everyone needs cash. And you go to an ATM and you often have to try several towns, several villages before you find one that has a little bit of cash to give you. So we're being forced into transparency. We're being forced into the ecological transparency and technology of online banking. And yes, on one level, it can make life easier to pay bills. And yes, assuming we are an honest society, we all want to pay our taxes and pay our dues. And the internet and online banking can make it a lot easier for us to keep track of our expenditure. But there is a vast chasm that has opened up in various peoples around the world. There are people that rely on cash. And it's as if they are being weeded out and starved out because they're not joining the internet revolution. Let's put it that way. So we know that Uranus can bring unexpected events and disruptions and anything that is innovative and new age is brought in with the energy of Uranus. You see, the last time, as I say, we had Uranus in Taurus, it was a dramatic time in our history. We've already seen that to a certain extent with what's happening in Europe, Eastern Europe, what's happening in the Middle East. And I'm recording this on the 4th of February. And this week, energetically, is actually an incredibly challenging week, astrologically. And whenever you see this, think back to what was going on around the 4th, 5th of February, because there could be things that happen this week, and with the new moon in Aquarius that is ruled by Uranus, that happens on the 10th. But back to kind of now, when I'm recording this, in a more general sense about how Uranus is going to affect the planet, and then of course I'm going to let you know how it's all going to affect you on an individual level. So let's just move on a bit, because we know there are going to be disruptions to the financial system. We've already seen that in the last few years because, most commonly, because of the pandemic. The pandemic pushed us all into learning how to use the internet banking, paying bills online. And it's all very well, but there are many people over 60 that have not been brought up with technology in the way the younger generations have, and really do not know how to use it. How on earth did they cope in the pandemic? Because they weren't allowed to see anyone. How did they get help? I mean, I'm just throwing a few things out there for us to think about. I mean, certainly during the lockdown, I upped my game from a technological point of view, partly because I started this channel up and running. So I had to learn and teach myself how to do it, even though I have help from the wonderful Jerry of Team Penny. The problem, I think, for my generation and generations older than me, and this is quite Uranus, is that what has happened is we as a generation probably overthink and overcomplicate technology instead of realizing, oh, you just press that and X happens. And I'm speaking from a personal point of view. And please let me know in the chat if any of you have had the same experience, because it's as if, and I think there's also a great fear, which is Uranus. There's a great fear of touching anything on a computer or on a mobile phone or on a tablet, because maybe everything will go all funny and we'll lose everything and it won't work. And then what do we do? And then how do we get someone in to help us? So there's a huge fear that has built up around technology for the generations of 60, 65 and over, and maybe even younger than that. Please let me know in the chat if you too have found it difficult. And I know with me it is certainly because I overcomplicate it. And people born in the 50s, let's say, will most probably have Jupiter and Uranus in Cancer. And Cancer is homey, enclosed and safe and sound. And Jupiter is kind of expanding the energy of Uranus for us natally, which is expanding our fear about how we cope with technology. And so that is, I think, the precursor of why the generation of the 50s and maybe some early 60s have this problem with technology. So we know that Uranus causes us to look at technology in a very cerebral way. But also we're forgetting the side of Uranus, which is very much about connecting to these higher frequencies and energies. Now I've got your interest. Now I'm talking about what really, really is the bottom line of Uranus. Uranus brings us all in touch with what could be beyond our current solar system. If you think about it, up until it was discovered in 1781, when interestingly Pluto was in Aquarius, and we had the French Revolution during the time Pluto was in Aquarius. So Uranus was discovered in 1781. And of course, we then developed much better ways to actually see our solar system and the universe and the cosmos beyond. So we started to have this higher vision, this vision towards the future. So there's something about Uranus that is very much about the future. And that's what we also have to bear in mind, that Uranus is trying to drag us, kicking and screaming, into the 21st century, as is Pluto in the sign ruled by Uranus, Aquarius. So there will be a push for technological advancements in agriculture, in banking, environmental conservation, the influence of Uranus in Taurus, it invites us to be adaptable, to be open to the unconventional methods in all of these areas. And there will be this surge, and already has been, of inventiveness with this green ecological agenda. So, and because Uranus rules Aquarius, where Pluto is, it brings in this energy of seeing beyond where we can see. So we have to have faith and trust that Uranus knows what it's doing in Taurus, even though it is disrupting potentially our whole financial way of working. Even though it is disrupting our ecology, it is disrupting our planetary seasons, hot summers, incredibly hot summers, wildfires, cold winters, extreme temperatures. So Uranus is in charge of this domain, because what it's doing is it's really pushing us towards change. It's basically imploring us all to wake up and welcome in the change. Now, if you've got Sun in Taurus, you have fixed energy. So for you, it is quite difficult to do this kind of switch in energies to encompass the innovative waking up, wakefulness energies of Uranus. But we have to. And if we don't, then we miss out on the gift. So I'm coming back to the gift of Uranus. The gift of Uranus will be beyond what we can comprehend. It will be magnificent, not only on an individual level, but on a planetary level. Because we will have a vision and an ability to connect on an intuitive and psychic frequency that we've never had access to before. We will sing the song of Uranus. Remember, Taurus is about music and singing. It's the sign of the singer. It's the sign that rules the throat and the larynx. We have to learn with Uranus in Taurus to sing the song of Uranus and wake up everyone on our planet. Now, before I come on to your individual signs, I'm just going to go through the most important transits that Uranus is making this year. First of all, remember, Uranus went direct on the 27th of January in Taurus. Excuse me. And it doesn't go retrograde until September the 1st, and then it will stay retrograde until next year. And so it will go retrograde in Taurus when it's at 27 degrees and 15 minutes. Now remember, if you have any planets at that point, then Uranus is really working with you this year. But let's just go back to what I was looking at with the transits, because on March the 9th, Mars, our planet of energy, action, war, that rules Aries, is in Pisces, where there are no boundaries. And it will be squaring Uranus in Taurus. my feeling is there could well be some problem at sea, whether this is a shipping disaster, we hope not, but I'm just working with what I'm picking up intuitively. And I think that there's a tax. There's a tax at sea. It could even be something about the various parts of the world where we get the migratory boats with migrants trying to escape places where they're going to get killed. And then they end up in the water and in hot water. So we have this energy around March the 9th. So just keep that date in your mind. On a personal level, I think be careful what you think, and be careful that you don't rise to the bait and argue about something that you're really not sure you have all the facts. Because sometimes we come out and speak before we think. And from the 1st of April to the 25th, we have a retrograde Mercury phase. So I'm just giving you a kind of sense of the other energies that will be at play. Now, of course, the major transit of this year that involves Uranus is on April the 21st in Taurus. And this is a conjunction you will have heard myself and many other astrologers talk about. Jupiter, the planet of luck, opportunity, expansion, energy, truth, spiritual enlightenment, is conjunct our planet Uranus, our planet of freedom and surprise and the unexpected. We will be feeling this energy throughout the month of April and into May, and moving back a little bit into March. Now, there's nothing to fear about this energy unless you choose to fear it. We could see enormous breakthroughs in technology. We could see change in the financial systems, in the economic balance. We could see a kind of eruption that gets expanded by Jupiter's energy with the financial and economic setup around this time. And this may be due, so it may not be good, so things may get worse before they can get better. But what this will be is because of things happening at a distance. This will be about what is happening in, say, the Middle East, or in Russia or Ukraine, Eastern Europe. There may be events that unfold, because remember, this part of the world is like a tinderbox. Uranus is like a spark of electricity. It can set off a fire. And it's conjunct Jupiter, a fire planet. A fire planet that rules Sagittarius, that is also about truth. So there may be something about very fiery activities, events that push people into acknowledging a truth. On a personal level, and I'm going to do a separate video about this, so I'm not going to go into it too deeply, because I'll I'll save that for when I do that video. But on a personal level, Jupiter conjunct Uranus can be a wonderful spiritual awakening. And it can lift you out of that kind of grounded, fixed Taurian energy of the earth and connect you with a much higher divine mind. And it can really wake you up on a spiritual and psychic level. So I'm looking forward to doing that video. I will be pre-recording it before I have my surgery, but it will not be published till April. So what else have we got? Because in May, both Venus and Mercury at various points will be conjunct Uranus in Taurus. They are what we call the inner planets. Their conjunctions are brief, and say when we have on May the 18th, Venus conjunct Uranus, then we have this loving relationship energy that is also about self-worth, value, and the economy. So we may actually receive some good news about the financial situation of what's going on the planet, and also how it is going to be affecting you. And then on the 31st, Mercury, the planet of communication, is also conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So there is going to be fighting talk at that time, surprising discussions that are groundbreaking, discussions that are explosive. It's like with the troubled areas of the world, it's as if people will be being encouraged to sit down and work this all out verbally. So there will be tough fighting talk, surprising talk, maybe surprising solutions that can come in. By the 15th of July, Mars will be conjunct Uranus. Now that is a little bit tricky because Mars wants to get things moving. We could see literally on a seismic level earth movement, dramatic earthquake activity or volcanic activity. So that's July the 15th if you want to be kind of make a note of it. And Mars also conjunct Uranus is, again, it's this fighting talk. And it may be a breakdown in what has been like a truce, and suddenly fighting breaks out again. So through August also, we have some energies of the inner planets making aspects to Uranus. But they are minor by comparison with the major aspect, which really is Jupiter conjunct Uranus. That is the one we really need to worry about. Now, what we need to look at is that September the 1st, Uranus in Taurus goes retrograde at 27 degrees and 15 minutes. So if you have your sun or your moon or your ascendant, your MC, your descendant, your IC at any of those degrees, then it's going to affect you because it's going to be going back over a point, and it stays retrograde until next year. Now, I'm going to move on to your individual zodiac signs, and just to finish this, bring this part to a conclusion, the minor aspects I will be covering when I do the weekly forecasts and the monthly forecasts. I will talk about the major of the minor aspects. And do remember that I am not going to be around between the months of March and June due to surgery. And I am pre-recording videos just to keep you going whilst I'm unable to do any lives. Although I don't know quite what I am going to be able to do. I might be pleasantly surprised and find that I can do some short live videos within a few weeks of coming out of hospital. Let's hope so, because I just miss talking to you lot so much. So I hope you've enjoyed this introduction, or rather quite full overview of the planet Uranus. It really is an amazing planet, and it takes us to the cosmos and the stars and beyond. It really does spark things off, and it will spark off your imagination, I think, this year, and give you ideas that you have not yet thought about. It doesn't enter Gemini, which is an air sign, so it'll be quite comfortable in Gemini, till the 26th of April, 2026. So we will talk about that then. Now let's move on to your individual zodiac signs. Remember to listen to your rising sign first and listen to your sun sign second. It gives you this nice blend of energies and a kind of tapestry to weave to connect with the energies of Uranus in your sign in 2024. Aries. So Aries, this is in your second house, because of course Taurus is your second house. And your second house is about your financial situation, your economy. You've had this energy here for 8 years. It's been disruptive, but, you know, on some levels, mind-blowing. It's changed things. And if you've had the trust and gone with the flow, then you will have seen your financial situation grow in a pretty positive way. If you've been using these energies of Uranus in a positive way. So also remember, it's about the work you do. It's about how you make your money. So a lot of you will have changed your jobs, your work, your career, if you are working. If you're retired, you will have perhaps been thinking of innovative ways to accrue some more money into your personal piggy bank. And that energy has been around for the last 8 years, and you've got it here for another couple of years. So I think it's also changed, Aries, the way you feel about yourself, so that you've been a little bit more confident in coming out and taking on work, or as I say, if you're in retirement, working with technology in a way that has probably quite surprised you, so that it's helped you build a little bit more security and stability into what has been probably at the beginning of Uranus's move into your second house, quite disruptive energy and quite scary energy. If you think back to about 8 years ago, your finances may have been in quite a difficult state, and it could have been a pretty shocking and difficult time, so that you've had to learn on the hoof, so to speak, to really change things and bring things up to speed. But in general, Aries, Uranus in this part of your chart has helped you take risks, has helped you grow through taking risks, has helped you really, really improve your skills, your abilities, your talents. And it doesn't matter what age you are, it will have changed you. Even if it's just in how you manage your financial situation, you will have grown in confidence and found some courage to try innovative, different ways to manage your financial situation, to take risks and use your money through an investment way of working and working with that 8th house energy, that Scorpio energy, to bring in the areas of your finances that can be quite scary for you and dark. But actually, you've gone into it. You've gone in and faced it. So I think that Uranus is helping you face a lot of financial demons, and that can only ultimately benefit you, so that the gift Uranus imparts to you as it leaves your sign, not till 2026, till it leaves your 2nd house, is the gift of taking risks, financial risks, and having a little bit more confidence that you can do it. Let's move on to Taurus, because Taurus, you had Uranus about 8 years ago at the 0 degree point of your sign, and that would have been depending on your rising sign or where your sun is, on your ascendant. So let's look at it as being on the ascendant of the rising sign or sun sign. And Taurus, you're a fixed earth sign. You are a creature of habits. You like standing in your particular part of the field where your hooves feel comfortable in the particular bit of mud that you like to kind of, churn up every now and then and snort a bit and chew over the cud, as you bulls do. And Uranus has turned that all upside down, because Uranus has thrown things into your field of operations that you didn't invite, that you didn't want here, that have made you at times really lose your patience and lose your rag, as we say, the red rag to the bull. And as a bull, you have really struggled with the power, the freedom that Uranus has been encouraging you to embrace, to learn about you, to learn about how you can be imaginative, creative, innovative. Technology will have become a part of your life that you would never have envisaged exploring before. And my goodness, hasn't it also changed your one-to-one personal relationships? Some of you may have seen relationships break up or end suddenly, unexpectedly. Some of you may have unexpectedly met someone who's come in and woken you up. It may not have lasted, but you'll have enjoyed it. You'll have enjoyed the ride that Uranus put you through. And some of you will have met other people that maybe at this point you're still not sure whether they will stay or whether they will go. But it's made life more exciting. And that can't be a bad thing, Taurus. Taurus, Uranus has really been endeavouring to wake you up over the last 8 years. And I think on the whole, it's been doing a pretty good job. And I think many of you have changed and come out and broken out and taken risks with who you are in ways that you could never have imagined possible. I'm Sun Taurus, as many of you will know, and my sun, natal sun, is at about 24 degrees. So at the moment, I've got I will have at some point, I've got Uranus conjunct my sun. It's not exactly conjunct, it's a little bit behind, and then it catches up, and then it goes ahead. But basically, I've got Uranus conjunct my sun. I am going through the most extraordinary personal change, in many ways too numerous to mention. I don't have to mention them. But if you saw me in the early days when I first started this astrology channel back in June 2020, if you go back and look at those, I think you'll agree I've changed a lot. A lot. Even in my appearance. And I can remember when I was that age, and it's only 3 years ago, thinking, oh, I would never cut my hair. Well, clearly that didn't last very long. I only found the courage to do it last year. But do you know what it's done? Oh, it set me free. And actually, that's what if I just give you a little bit of my own information, all of this energy has set me free. In many ways, I'm thinking in a different way. I'm taking more risks. I'm learning about the technology. I'm not finding it easy. And dear Andrea, bless her, of Team Penny, has the most immense patience with me as she explains to me for the 20th time how to fill in the particular spreadsheet on the particular kind of area of the spreadsheets, because there's so many of them, where I add in what I'm going to record, what's going to be advertised, what's going to have a post about it, because I'm just going, I don't know, I can't find it, Andrea. So there's been a lot of that, and a lot of you Taurians or rising sign Taurians may have also been struggling with learning new ways of doing things and dealing with technology in different ways. And bless you, Taurus, and bless myself. We've given it a good go. There's been times when I've wanted to break down and cry, I can tell you, but I just keep doing it. Sometimes I pull the age card and I go, well, I am 68. What do you expect? And so I do kind of do that sometimes because it's hard. It's difficult. But so by telling you this personal story, my experience of Uranus in Taurus, I hope it gives all of you with either a rising sign in Taurus or a sun sign in Taurus, just a general idea of what you've already experienced, potentially, because some of you will have your birthdays at the end of April and the beginning of May, and what those of you at the final degrees of Taurus, round about the 19th, 20th, 21st, may be starting to experience now. So that really gives us, I think, a pretty comprehensive overview of Uranus in the sign of Taurus for Taurians and rising sign Taurus. Now let's move on to Gemini. Gemini, it's in your 12th house. Now, the 12th house is very much about the inner you. Gemini, you're an air sign. you're ruled by Mercury. You are the twins. Mercury is a kind of planet that is almost kind of androgynous. It's neither one or the other. It's all over the place. Gemini, sometimes your thinking can be all over the place. Gemini, you are about communication. But how is your communication with the inner you? How is your communication when you are having those dark nights of the soul? How do you communicate with you? Because Uranus has been trying over the last 8 years to awaken you, to get you to rebel a bit, to get you to look at yourself in a more holistic way, to really kind of dig deep and look into this kind of Taurian part of your chart, which is about self-worth, about value, about economy. Are you too economical with spending time on you? Is it that you kind of lock yourself away, Gemini, and, you know, don't want to hear what the cosmos has been trying to tell you through the planet Uranus in the sign of Taurus? So really trying to wake you up on an inner level. Well, you've got 2 more years of it. And if you want to leave or have Uranus leave this part of your chart in a better state than when Uranus entered this part of your chart, and bring along the gift with you into your sign in 2026, Gemini, then allow yourself to be a little bit more innovative in how you take care of the inner you. You need to be a little bit more reflective. You need to go within more. Oh, I've been going within, you're saying. I have been going within. I know you have. But this is a little bit deeper. Because remember, your ruling sign Mercury keeps you a little bit on that higher frequency. Uranus is a high frequency, but it has a depth to it. It has this, if you think of it sort of from the astronomy point of view, it has this strange rotation. It has these extreme seasonal shifts. So you have to look at how you use that energy to change the way you work with your psyche, with your inner self, with your soul, with your inner being. If you felt restricted with Uranus in this part of your chart, then you need to really start facing your shadow, breaking out to break through. Because when Uranus comes up to your sign and goes into your first house, that is when you either break through or you have a really tough time. And I think most of you will want to break through and break out into the freedom that you can have with Uranus in your first house. The freedom of speech, the freedom of thought. Get it into some kind of order whilst Uranus is in Taurus, and you'll fare well. Now let's move on to Cancer. Cancer. So it's the 11th house. So traditionally, if we take Aries as the first sign of the zodiac, Aquarius, the sign Uranus rules, is the 11th house. So you've actually got a kind of a layer of not just Venus ruling your 11th house, because Venus rules Taurus, but also Uranus ruling your 11th house. So the way that you've experienced Uranus in this part of your chart has been with an amazing amount of creative and inspirational ideas about how you want the next stage of your life to unfold. A lot of you will have taken up hobbies and projects that stretch your mind, that stretch your thinking, that help you break out of old ways and old habits, of being caught in habits and fixed behavior that doesn't somehow fit in with your cardinal, your assertive and emotional energy. So Uranus has actually been a very good planet to have in this part of your chart, Cancer, because it's really, really been helping you to wake up and be inventive with the ideas and the talents that you have. Some of you may be good at writing. So some of you will have been writing novels, writing books. Some of you may be good at sculpting or painting, making jewelry, creating beautiful works of art. But there will certainly have been some part of your talents that have been exploited with Uranus going through this part of your chart. Think back over the last 8 years and think as to what was happening before those 8 years, when Uranus was actually in your 10th house of career. So just have a think about that, Cancer. And the way you can make Uranus work even better for you over the next couple of years is to be more inventive, more innovative, a little bit more selfish. Take time out for you, Cancer. Don't always be there for everybody else. Your projects have value. You know they do. You may have spent a lot of time being and helping others over the last few years. And what I want to say to you, Cancer, is enough is enough. It's time now for you to take care of you and your projects. Got it? Good. So let's move on to Leo. Leo, for you, the sign of Taurus, where Uranus is your 10th house. So this is the house of traditionally career, soul path, soul direction. But if you're retired, what is the use of having this innovative, creative, shocking, surprising planet in this part of your chart? Well, I can't believe that any of you retirees don't have ideas, projects, plans that you would like to initiate, passions that you've not yet explored. Because all of this Uranus energy is giving you the opportunity to wake up, do something a little bit unusual and unexpected, and play with it, work with it, use it. Again, I'll tell you the story of how I am experiencing Uranus in the 10th house, because I am a Leo ascendant. So for any of you that have Leo as your rising sign, you might be really interested to hear how Uranus has played out and how I've worked that baby. It would have been initially on my MC, which is right at the top of the chart. It puts you out there in the public arena. I decided at that time, because I had a wonderful friend, I still have a wonderful friend, called Jo, who used to be a professional astrologer, and she said, Uranus on your midheaven, television, being in the public eye, doing something visual. Well, it was television of a sorts, but it was YouTube, because I chose to launch my YouTube channel in line with Uranus lining up with my midheaven, so that I sailed with that energy into my 10th house and worked it. And this is why I'm telling you this story. This is how you can work with this energy. I'm not suggesting all Leo ascendants open up YouTube channels and become YouTubers, influencers, or whatever you want to call us. What I'm saying is that we all have the capability to be inventive, creative, create something new, and because it's Taurus, create something that actually brings in a reward, investment. We accrue some financial reward for the work we do. So many of you Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings will be experiencing the most extraordinary changes and opportunities and twists and turns with Uranus going through this part of your chart. So it enables you to break out and try different things. So for all of you that still have this energy here, think back over the last 8 years and have a think about what you have done or what you may not have done that you could have done, but you still can. And if you're not sure what that is, just imagine that you did know what it is. The first thing that comes into your mind, because that's what it is. And you've still got a good 2 years to explore this energy. So, Leo, I think probably I've made my point for Leo, because now we're going to move on to Virgo. Virgo, well, it's in the part of your chart to do with higher education. It's about those higher kind of spiritual frequencies, tuning into truth, seeing things in a different way. Also travel, but not just physical travel, travel of the mind. How many of you Virgos have done a lot of traveling of either form over the last 8 years, whether it's travel of the mind, ideas, plans you've got to initiate things, and how many of you Virgos have actually done a lot of physical traveling and perhaps visited unusual places, gone to parts of the world you never would have thought you would visit. Because Virgo, I hope you're not all sitting at home doing nothing. And Virgo, remember this is about learning and teaching. What are you learning in terms of technology, of how to use the internet and all these amazing devices we've got in a different way, in a more innovative way? Are you learning how to use it? Are you exploring projects or learning about something that you can work with when Uranus moves into your 10th house? You work that baby like I've worked that baby. Are you getting the gist of it now? There may be some Virgos out there who are budding astrologers, because Uranus is the planet of astrology. It's also the planet of aviation. So, which I should have mentioned earlier, which is interesting. So it's anything about rockets going up into space, planes flying and whizzing through the air, and it's also, of course, about astrology. Are there some of you Virgo people, rising sign Virgo or sun sign Virgo, who have perhaps had your doubts about such topics as astrology because you like your scientific basis for all of these things? Well, I'm telling you, Virgo, I think many of you have discovered there's more to astrology than meets the eye. And I suspect that we will see Virgos launching themselves into astrological careers. And hey, guess what, Virgo? Uranus is in Taurus, so some of you might be thinking, I could become a financial astrologer. You're somebody that likes balancing the books, getting everything in the right column. And there are a lot of astrologers now that do financial astrology. They do career astrology, human resources. So there are many ways to use astrology in a way that, business astrology is becoming a huge thing. A lot of human resources in companies are now looking to use astrologers to look at the psychology combined with the astrology to make sure they have a team that works well together. I get people asking me about people they're going to be working with. I've got their chart. They say, can you tell me if this is going to be helpful or not helpful? Obviously, I don't often have a birth time, but I can usually give the person a pretty clear idea as to whether this is a relationship, a business relationship that is going to work well or not. So just have a think about that, Virgo. Because it's going to be so super exciting when Uranus moves into Gemini and your 10th house. Wow, I can't wait to talk to you about that. So let's move on to Libra, because Libra, it's in your 8th house. This is quite interesting because Scorpio, of course, is your 2nd house. And the 2nd house is about your finance, money, and how you accrue your finances, what work you do to get the money flowing in. And the 8th house is about other people's money. And Libra, it's also traditionally a Scorpio house. So you've got this kind of double layer. So what I'm saying, Libra, is that there's something here about Uranus has been waking you up to how you treat your investments if you're fortunate enough to have money to invest, or pensions, or making sure that all these things, wills, all of these kind of documents are in place. Very much an emphasis on security for the future, because what Uranus has been showing you is that nothing is certain. And it's been disrupting in the most unusual ways things and parts of your life that you thought were set in stone. And what you found with Uranus in Taurus is it's actually pretty unstable and pretty volcanic. So that you have probably had 8 quite rocky years dealing with joint financial situations, and relationships will have broken up over it. Business relationships will have ended, and you will have been pushed to the limits and to the end of your proverbial tether with the situations that can have arisen with Uranus going through this part of your chart. So you've got 2 years to set the record straight, to find a system that will work better, that will balance the books in a Libra style that is better for you. So Libra, I hope that gives you a little taster of how you can make this energy give you that gift of Uranus in the next 2 years as it prepares to go into your 9th house, because that's going to be awesome. That is going to be absolutely amazing. And you're going to need that joint finance or the investments that you've accrued to help pay for all those fabulous journeys you are dreaming about. Right, let's move on to Scorpio. Scorpio, for you, it's in your 7th house. Now, the 7th house, of course, as we know, is all about significant one-to-one close personal relationships. It can also be business relationships. Scorpio, what can I say? Some of you will already be experiencing, it depends what, if your rising sign is the late degrees of Scorpio, I'm afraid you've still got this to come. But if you're the early degrees of Scorpio, you have been experiencing a lot of disruption, shocks, and upsets in close personal one-to-one relationships, which have really, really, in many cases, broken your heart. I hate to tell you that, but I think you will know if you think back over the last 8 years how difficult your one-to-one relationships have been, and how you have felt quite trapped in certain situations, and there has been such a desire in you to break free, which has been almost impossible to find. Now, whilst it traverses your 7th house, and remember, Scorpio, whatever your sun or rising sign is, get the layers. So you have, if you're, sun Capricorn and rising sign Scorpio, remember to listen to the sun in Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus for Capricorn, because it will give you a blend. It will give you a blend like a glove. Let's use that word, a glove, gloves of energy that will help you make sense of the bigger picture, which Uranus is trying to show you in your 7th house. And if you are, all of you Scorpios, focusing on a particular situation, a particular relationship, what it is doing is giving you a lot of grief and pain and just making you feel very uncomfortable and sad. And we don't want sad Scorpios, do we? Because Scorpios can have a sting in their tail. So Scorpio, listen to your sun sign as well. Or if you are sun Scorpio, listen to your rising sign to give you the blend of what you can expect from this energy. And if anyone else is listening to other signs, then remember always to listen to that blend. It really will make more sense. Now let's move on to Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, Taurus for you is the 6th house. Now the 6th house traditionally can be about service to others. It can be about pets, small animals. It can be about our health. And it can be about our daily routine. So Sagittarius, it's Taurus. Your day-to-day routine has clearly been greatly disrupted over the last few years. You've been going down one path, something happens out of the blue, and you're going down another path. So there's been a lot of change and disruption. If anyone can hear scratching in the background, one of my pussycats, one of my 5, is going to the toilet. Apologies. I had to move their boxes into another area of the apartment. So that's why it's a little bit more audible here. My apologies. Anyway, at least they covered it up. So Sagittarius, moving swiftly on, coming back to you. Sagittarius, your day-to-day routine has been all over the place. Your health has been challenging and difficult. And there may have been unexpected twists and turns, not just for your health, but if you have furry babies, pets, small animals, there will have been a lot of ups and downs and disruptions with all of your fur babies, which will have been difficult to manage. So how do we see this panning out? Because you've had it here now for 8 years. You've got 2 years. You want the gift of Uranus before it moves into your 7th house of Gemini. Now, when it moves into Gemini, it's going to change the whole structure and nature of your relationships. It doesn't have to be feared because Gemini is cerebral and it's about thought and communication. So there could be some very interesting changes that come along in the way things are communicated and talked about. And as Uranus gets closer by degree to the cusp of Gemini, you will pick up these energies and feel them and sense them. But with Uranus in Taurus in your 6th house, it has affected your health. And some of you, it may be the health of others, people that are close to you, but health has been an issue. And some of you have had unexpected things wrong. And, you know, it's, you also, Sagittarius, it's almost like you've been buzzing with energy so that your day-to-day routine has been exhausting in one sense. And you've burnt yourself out several times over with this energy going through this part of your chart. So that you really do, Sagittarius, need to slow down a bit and just find a way to pace yourself with these last couple of years of Uranus in Taurus. I think your whole sense of self-worth and value on how you spend your time, whom you give your time to, whom you are of service to. Because some of you will have found that you have been in situations unexpectedly of being carers. And some of you will have really resented being put or pushed into that situation. I'll just give you this because it's interesting. I think it's interesting. When my mother had her stroke and I knew I was going to be her carer, I had no idea, obviously no concept of how long that would last. In fact, it lasted 16 years. But I'm actually very glad that I had that 16 years with her. But at the beginning, I was not very happy because it was going to spoil my life. And my therapist at the time, because I always like to keep myself in therapy. I have a therapist now because I like to take care of my personal psychological health and growth. But my therapist then said that I had to guard against resenting and having resentment for my mother because it wasn't her fault that she'd had a stroke. And that if I wanted to resent or get angry with anything, I should divert my attention to the stroke and be angry that the stroke had stepped in and done this not just to my mother, but also to me. Now, what I did, and if any of you Sagittarians have found yourself or find yourself in a caring position at the moment, I think it can help to just stand back and also look at what you can learn from being in a carer role. Because I think we all have a kind of archetypal image of the traditional carer. I just saw myself in a twin set and pearls and a tweed skirt and no makeup. And it was just horrendous, the vision I had of what being a carer was. And of course, it wasn't at all like that. It's not that every day I put full makeup on, because I didn't. But of course, my experience was not what my archetypal idea was. It was very different. And I had a very full and wonderful life alongside caring for my mother. So when I took up all my singing, because at night she was asleep in bed and she was taken care of. So I could go out and take care of me. So I tell you this story, Sagittarius. As you know, I love telling stories, to help you see that if you have or are in a situation where you are caring for someone, find a way to not resent the person, because then you take it out on them and it's not necessarily their fault. All right, let's move on to Capricorn. Capricorn. It's in your house of fun. Well, I don't think this is bad. I mean, let's face it, you've had Pluto going through your sign for the last 20 odd years, however long, 18, 19, 20, whatever it is exactly. Someone will tell me in the chat. But Capricorn, you've got Uranus moving into your 5th house of fun, which is Taurus. Now, what is so wonderful is you've had Uranus here already for 8 years. So it will have been a little bit difficult, and you will have felt a little bit discombobulated, going through the first processes of getting used to this energy. And some of you will have been all over the place with your social life, moving here, moving there, changing friends, going out with someone, dating them, dumping them, being dumped. All sorts of things will have gone on for you, Capricorn. But you've settled into this extraordinary, discombobulating energy now. And I think you've found a kind of balance. Some of you will have met someone who has become a long-term partner. And that's beautiful. And I'm so happy for the Capricorns that this has happened for. Some of you will have seen lots of changes in your long-term relationships. And that too is beautiful or challenging. So Uranus in Taurus for you in the 5th house has, I think, changed your whole vision about creativity. Some of you will have taken up unusual creative pursuits. Some of you will have found and developed talents and skills that have surprised many, that you would come up with such innovative and inventive ideas. Some of you may have even invented something, a new way to do something that you've been able to make money out of. But it certainly created a diverse and sometimes challenging time for you. And it has caused disruption in relationships, friendships, and, friends will have come and gone. Friends will have shocked you, disappointed you, and left you and abandoned you. You've got 2 more years of this energy. Think about whom and who and what you want to take with you into 2026, because that might help you ascertain what the gift of Uranus is for you as it carries you into the 6th house, when it will be in Gemini, which is an air sign. So, Capricorn, think about what parts that you've enjoyed from the last 8 years of Uranus. Make a list, write it down. Make a list of all the talents or hobbies you've taken up that you've really enjoyed. Maybe narrow them down to 1 or 2 and think, what do I really want to focus on? Which of these would serve me well when Uranus moves into my 6th house? Remember, service to others? Could I become involved more in one of the subjects that absolutely fascinates me, and work for a kind of people or organization? Supposing you love opera and you find you can become part of there used to be a Friends of the Royal Opera House in London, and you get involved in that and meet other people of like minds. So there are many ways that you can use this Uranian energy. And some of you will have perhaps invested in works of art as ways of investing your money with a good canny idea with that Taurus energy of, well, I'm not really buying this lovely statue. What I'm buying is an asset which further on down the line I could always sell for a better price. So you've been using that kind of Taurian quality of bargaining and buying and selling, and also enjoying luxury and luxury kind of objects. So Capricorn, I hope that is in many ways helpful for you. So now we move on to Aquarius. Aquarius, it's in your 4th house. And of course, this is your ruling planet. So it's kind of at home with you in your 4th house, but it's Taurus. Some of you most definitely will, over the last 8 years, have moved house, bought properties, sold properties, rented properties, changed where you're letting, changed where you're renting, moved abroad. All of those kind of activities are more than probable to have happened over the last 8 years and may still happen over the next 2. Also, there will have been a lot of twists, turns, unexpected ups and downs, changes, unforeseen events, shocks to do with family and family members. And for a lot of you, that will have been very heartbreaking in some cases, difficult to manage. I think a lot of you will have found an enormous amount of resistance to the changes that maybe discovering somebody has a personality disorder, the adjustments that one has to make in one's own life to accommodate the person that needs a little bit of extra care. So for some of you, not always easy. But also there may be unexpected pregnancies, additions to the family, unexpected relationships that have come into the family. People have come and gone. But life will not have been dull. People will have returned from far distant countries to be part of your life again. So Aquarius, it will have been a rich time in many ways, but also potentially it's been very challenging and upsetting, so that in many ways you've experienced personal earthquakes, which have been quite devastating. So I don't want to leave you on a sad note, because what I want to leave you with is the gift of Aquarius, or a gift of Uranus, your ruling planet, as it progresses through the next 2 years of your 4th house. What lessons have you learnt over the last 8 years? What energies have you discovered in yourself that you have been able to use more? Have you been able to channel and explore healing energies of these higher frequencies, to be able to tune into? I said to Taurus about the song of Uranus, and it's like all planets have their own song. And it was actually, oh gosh, and I can't, no, I can't remember her name. She's a lovely astrologer. She is an American astrologer, and her name is Heather Ensworth. And she had done a lovely meditation about the song of Uranus. And so I credit Heather Ensworth with that. I'm so sorry, Heather. I credit Heather Ensworth with that idea, because it's a beautiful idea. I don't know whether anyone has created yet. You know, there was always there was the planets that was written many years ago, but there need to now be, I think, electronic songs of the different planets, tuning into their frequencies and creating a musical composition that really somehow holds the essence of the planet Uranus. So let's now move on. Oh, Pisces, my oceans of emotions. Pisces, you are always last, but the best is always last. The best is always yet to come. And is the best yet to come for you, Pisces, with Uranus in your third house of communication? How many of you have got so involved in social media, advertising, marketing, communication, writing blogs, writing vlogs, writing books? Pisces, that the third house is about using this energy to make money out of all these talents that you can exploit, that your spiritual and psychic side can really exploit in this third house of communication. You can put down roots with this energy. Many of you over the last 8 years will have completely reinvented the way you communicate, the way you see yourself in regards to the way you communicate. You will have changed your whole persona enormously. And also what's coming back to me again is because it's Taurus, it's also music, it's singing. Some of you Pisceans may have not just discovered you have a wonderful singing voice, but found yourself careers as singers. Some of you will have already known you were singers and been working as vocalists, and there will have been some unexpected twists and turns that will have taken you overseas and taken you to some extraordinary kind of parts of the world to explore and display your musical talents. Pisces, what will the gift of Uranus be for you as it leaves your third house in 2 years' time, in 2026? I think you've learned a lot, Pisces, with Uranus in this part of your chart. I think it's helped you develop more confidence. You're more assured. You know, Taurus is a fixed ground, earthed energy. It's helped your Piscean energy have some sort of Taurus structure to it. You've been able to be more mindful of the determination that a Taurian has. So you've used that Uranus energy to make your communication not just in audio or the written word, but also visible and visual, so that many of you Pisceans will be doing podcasts or YouTube videos, any of the video platforms that are around, we will see Pisces working on. But Pisces, you've also been going through a tough time with Saturn in your sign. And Saturn, of course, is trying to give you some structure and boundaries. And what you need to do is find a way to use that, as I talk about, this kind of meshing, this melding, this combination of energies from whatever your rising sign is to your sun sign. Bring in the moon as well. Why not? We can have the sun and the moon and the stars. That's what astrology is all about. To create the life that you want to live. Because I think because the third house is opposite the ninth house, so it draws in the energy of the ninth. Uranus is a powerful planet, so it really pulls in the energy of the ninth. It's telling me you can go far. I don't mean far enough away so that we don't see you. I mean that you can go far and become a real human of substance, that you can ground some of these ideas, these wonderful, innovative, inventive ideas, that you can create some amazing ways of communicating, that also you will be able to incorporate your psychic energies, helped by Neptune in your sign, to tune in to these higher frequencies so that you're not only channeling energies from the world around you, but you will be channeling energies from the star beings and the cosmos and everything beyond. Pisces, on that note, I really, really wish you well. And thank you all so much for joining me for what is an enormously long video. I know many of you will not sit through the whole lot, but as I get to the end, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me for this planetary series. Remember that the one we have up already is Pluto, and that is the next video, or that is the video that is around that you can already see. This is the next in the series, and I'm just trying to see what my next planet is that I'm doing, and I can't remember. I can't remember, and I'm going to waste too much time looking for it. But anyway, I do know that May, I'm doing Jupiter. So between now and then, I'll be doing Saturn and Neptune. Maybe next month I'm doing Saturn. Could be Saturn. But anyway, please remember to do all those wonderful, wonderful, helpful things you do that help the algorithms, the like, comment, and subscribe. Join me for my lives if I'm currently doing them, because when you see this, I do not know. But thank you also for all the support you give me for the channel. And as I say, I like to credit Heather Ensworth for her wonderful meditation that she did for one of her recent videos. I think it was the new moon in Aquarius, but she talks a lot about Uranus, and it was incredibly helpful for me to listen to her meditation. So bless you. Thank you, Heather. And I'll try, if I know how to put the link in the description box. So on that note, what can I say? Wow, that's Uranus, baby. That's our innovative, extraordinary, powerful, life-changing, eruptive, freedom-loving, volcanic, electrifying planet Uranus. Bye for now.